Well, how you doing? We just tucked the van in after a 7-week road trip. Our first 7 weeks in the van to see how it actually worked for us. And so what I'd like to share with you this week is some things we've designed in that we're really pleased about and really happy with the way it worked, and a couple of things we're going to be changing. Hope you find it useful. And if you do find it useful, please give us a like, a share, and a subscribe, because we could use the loving. Let's get started. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to demonstrate this very well, but the cabin itself is 6 feet wide, 6'2" wide. And a lot of folks, when they're designing their van, they'll have 2 feet for cupboard space, a 2-foot aisleway, and then 2 feet for cupboard on this side. Unless they have a full-time stand-up shower, full-time shower, they might even restrict this space in the middle even more to make this side a little wider. We didn't do that. We have a 2-foot cupboard on this side as the kitchen. It's over 5 feet long, kitchen counter with a cooler built into it, lots of storage. On this side, we made it 1'8" or 1'6", 18 inches, which gave us an extra 6 inches in the middle. And I got to tell you, that space was such a bonus. Get back here, there's enough room for 2 people to pass each other. There's lots of room. It feels spacious. And the cooler can slide right out. Instead of having the cooler on the floor, we got it up higher so you don't have to bend over all the time. There's enough width to be able to do that. We felt blessed to have that much space. It was one of the design things we wanted to build in, and we're really glad we did. It gave us a lots of space, and it didn't restrict our ability to store. This 1'6" deep cupboard on this side has lots of storage space. There's lots of room. We didn't use it as efficiently as we could have, but we started to work into a flow on where we wanted to keep things. You'll find too that you have to, that's something that will evolve. But having the extra 6 inches in the middle, golden. We also really loved and appreciated the basement space that we created. The storage space back here was absolutely amazing. And the way that we use our van is we use it for carrying our stuff and for sleeping in it and for making lunches and things, but we don't do a lot of cooking in it, and we don't do a lot of living in it. We bring along a dining tent that we set up. We bring seating for 4, very comfortable seating for 4. We bring our bicycles. We don't live in the van. We set up camp for a week or so, and then we stayed in the one spot, and we really get to enjoy that place. If we're traveling for a day, we'll stop and make lunch in the van, and stop and maybe make a cup of tea or something and sit by a lake or take a break from driving. But we don't spend a lot of time living in the van if we're parked. And having this, being able to carry lots of stuff with us was a real godsend. In fact, we were in camps, and we had people who had those $150,000 Travelways vans and Pleasureway vans coming along and asking us where our trailer was, because we had so much stuff. They said, "Where do you keep it all? It doesn't make any sense. We can't keep anything in our place." And it was just amazing how much stuff we had with us, how comfortable we were for the holiday, and at the same time, we weren't climbing over top of stuff. It all fit into the back. We could drive along. I had it packed in such a way the lawn chairs came out easily, the little stove came out easily. We had access to all the things we needed to on short notice if we just wanted to stop for a moment or two. But we also had everything in there we needed for a long-term holiday. The second seats. We're having a love-hate relationship with this particular part of the layout. Love the idea of being able to have someone come with us when we want them to. We really wanted to be able to have that opportunity for another couple to travel with us, maybe one of our kids and a partner, you know, or one of our kids and a dog, whatever the case may be. So these came out of a Ford Transit van, and they've got the integrated seat belts. They're bolted well to the floor. They're perfectly safe, and they're great for when someone's riding in them when you're going down the highway. They are removable, though. I made them that way so that we'd have the extra space if we wanted it. Love the concept. In practice, though, in 7 weeks, we only had someone riding with us for about an hour. Out of 7 weeks on the road, almost 9,000 kilometers, 1 hour we had someone riding with us. In the evening, we would put a curtain up behind the seats, and we had our window coverings at the back end, and then we could lounge in these seats and read a book or relax at the end of the day before we went to bed. That's great, but they aren't that comfortable for that. Mathematically, there's enough room here, and with the 3500 Promaster van, you can sacrifice this space, in my opinion. You don't need all that storage. You can sacrifice this space. There's room here for our double-seated lawn chair, our love seat lawn chair, and it's really comfortable on a rainy day or in the evening. To bring it in and set it here, it'd be a lot more comfortable than these guys are. That would be a great thing to do. We're also having a conversation about possibly removing this seat and putting some kind of a foldable table space there if we wanted to, and then putting a swivel on the driver's seat. We can't put a swivel on the passenger seat because it was cut down. That's another video coming. But we can't put a swivel on the passenger seat, but we could put a swivel on the driver's seat, have it turn around and face this seat that I'm sitting in and have a table between them. That might be something that that's something we're having a conversation about as well. This concept as a design function we think is ideal. It's perfect. But it's just not working exactly the way we thought it would as we're actually living in it. So give this some thought. I'll keep you up to date on how we do with this one. One of the best things that we've done, I've just been thrilled about it, is our fridge, the cooler that we bought. We bought the Dometic 97-liter dual zone cooler. I want to make it a point. I want everyone to understand that I have no affiliate links here. I'm not endorsing anything. I'm not getting paid by anybody. We're just sharing our information and our feelings as clearly as we possibly can. And without question, the Dometic cooler has been an absolute godsend. I can't believe it. It's a big cooler. It runs on 12 volt or the 110 volt. It's dual zone. You can program each side to do whatever you want to do. You can have a freezer on one side, a fridge on the other. You can have a fridge on both sides. It can be all freezer, whatever you want it to be. You can control the temperature each one is at so that you can go down to, I don't know how low you can go. We've got the freezer side down to -8, I think. It's been absolutely amazing. We were on the road for 7 weeks. I ran this cooler on solar every day. Every day. We didn't have to, we could use solar every day for this. It draws so little. It's amazing. We made ice every day. We put 15 pounds of sausage in this freezer and it was frozen solid in a couple of hours. Stayed frozen for almost 5 weeks and then we brought it home. It's in our other freezer now. This has been a wonderful investment. Having enough capacity in your cooler so that you've got all the food you want to be able to take with you and all the beverages you want to take with you is important. Being able to make ice on a summer trip is really important in my opinion as well, because whenever we had a cold drink, we could put ice in it. It was just a treat to be able to do that. But having enough space is really important. Having it be reliable is important. And having it draw so little energy that it's not a burden. This thing is just amazing. I would recommend it's an expensive item to buy. But don't cheap out on the cooler, because if you're going to be on the road for a long period of time, in my opinion, you're going to find that having something that's large enough, reliable enough, and energy efficient enough is a wise investment. Another thing I don't know how I'm going to show you is our bed. If you're going to spend a lot of time on the road, comfort when you sleep is really important. And we have the same bed in the van that we have in our house that we sleep in. It's a 10-inch memory foam mattress. And I'll tell you what, I've never slept better. It's just been amazing. It was really comfortable. We didn't spend a lot of time trying to level the van at night. We just pulled into a spot and I backed up or moved around until it felt pretty level. And if anything, I had to try to get the head side of the bed a little bit higher than the foot side of the bed. And we did not have a bad night's sleep. It was absolutely amazing. It was fantastic. And again, I would suggest to anybody who's going to do this, make sure you got comfort there. The second part about that is the air movement. And we have, you may recall, we have 2 fans. We have a fantastic fan in the back end and a Maxair fan in the front end. And we'd read in doing our research that having 2 fans in a larger cabin like the 3500 Dodge Promaster is important for air movement. But I would suggest to you, no matter how big your van is, you want to consider this, because this was magical the way this worked. At night in the summertime, in the summertime, when it's warm all day long, the inside of your cabin is going to warm up. Unless you have air conditioning, it's going to be warmer inside the cabin. There's no question about it. It doesn't have to be uncomfortably warm, but it's going to be warm. And then as the sun goes down, the air outside the van starts to cool, just the way things happen. And when it's time for bed, the inside of the van will still be warm. Not hot, but warm. And we found that if we opened up the front Maxair fan and turned it on low, blowing out, All we had to do over the bed was just crack the lid of the Fantastic fan. Didn't have to turn it on at all, but as soon as you cracked that lid, a slight breeze came in right over top of the bed. Cool air was brought in from the outside, right over top of the bed. It was just like, it was magical the way it worked. It was spectacular. We had a really nice sleep with a cool breeze on you. You know, you'd have to have like a little blanket or whatever. Even when it was really, really hot, at night it cools off. It made a difference. 2 fans in any van, I think, should be a necessity. Solar panels, you know, now the solar worked extremely well. I was shocked. I've got 3 100-watt, 10-volt panels on the roof. I probably could have gotten by with 2 or even 1 most days. We drove through rain for 2 or 3 days in a row. There was once or twice I turned on the DC to DC charger. Most of the time I left it off. That'll be another video altogether. But it's the solar panels worked really, really well. But the one thing that I learned was they need to be clean in order to work properly. And we had a couple of our campsites were in the trees, and we had a couple of rainy nights under the pine trees. And the next day, even though it was sunny, because I have my battery monitor, which again is something that I recommend to everyone, I could tell that it wasn't charging as efficiently as I thought that it should. So one day I said to Kathy, I'm gonna have to get up there and clean those panels off. I don't have a ladder with me. How am I going to do that? So I drove down the highway for almost 40 minutes looking for a picnic table or something I could pull up beside and climb onto the roof with. You know, used to climb onto the roof, and finally got there and finally figured out a way. And then I realized that there is a way for me to get on the roof by climbing on the kitchen cupboards and shinnying up onto the roof. I can do that at this point in my life. It's still possible. I always thought I don't want a ladder because that's just, in my opinion, inviting people to climb up on your roof when you're parked downtown or something. So I didn't want to have a ladder on the outside. But being able to get up and clean your roof solar panels is absolutely critical to keeping the panels working efficiently. So that's something I'm going to have to work on going forward. I'm not sure just how I'm going to do that, but it's something that in my design, I should have built something into the back door, or I should have done something to try and make provisions to get on the roof to be able to clean the panels without having a ladder, because I don't want a ladder. It's what food for thought. The last thing I want to share with you is a design feature that I had planned on that I didn't get to, and I'm so glad I didn't get to it. And that is, I had planned on putting an exterior porch light right up here. I thought it would look so cool, a nice little brass light fixture there just shining down on the ground in front of the door. I thought it would have been so nice. I got the wire there for it and everything. Just perfect. It'd be wonderful. But what we found was that we had the door closed most of the time. So having a light inside would have been a total waste of time. Just awful. So I started looking around as we were in the campgrounds. I started looking around at other vans and seeing what they did. And some vans have a light up here above the door. And I thought that looked like a pretty cool idea. Maybe I could do that. But then someone suggested to me, well, Dave, if you put a light there, you're going to get the bugs coming in the door all the time. You know, attract the bugs to the door. So maybe you should try something else. So what I did was I put an exterior light way at the back here. It was easy enough. It was easy to do because, remember, I left the liner from my upper cubbies removable. So I just went in, I pulled the liner out. I want to change it anyway to the white plastic. I pulled the liner out, ran the wire from behind this cubby down all the way to the back, made the connection, and it runs off of this switch. I'm really pleased with the way that turned out, and I'm really pleased that I didn't get far enough to really mess it up the first time around. So, food for thought. Exterior lighting, I think, is important for when you're out at night. Keep it away from the door, and that light was just great. Unfortunately, I was unable to find it anywhere in Ontario, Canada, which is the greatest, densest population in Canada. I phoned every RV dealer I could find online. I couldn't find anyone that had a light like that in stock, and so I did have to buy it from Amazon. Hate the idea, but sometimes it's just necessary. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this useful. If you did, please give us a like, give us a share, and give us a subscribe. We're here just trying to help out. Be well.